Hi, I'm Don from DonDronesOn. Today we're going to have a look at this device, the Reolink Elite combination Wi-Fi security camera and floodlight. Let's dive in. The Reolink folks provided me a Reolink Elite security camera kit in exchange for this review. But as you know, I'll give you my honest opinion with both the good stuff and the bad. The Reolink Elite camera, one of many models that Reolink offers, can be used standalone, just like this, or in combination with other cameras, maybe a Reolink hub unit, or even connected to your own NAS server. In this case, I'm using it standalone, and it works great in that configuration. The dual lens 4K cameras provide crystal clear images covering 180 degrees in basically a panorama view all the way from there to there. Motion detection turns on recording automatically, and then you can access those recordings from anywhere in the world over the internet. The floodlights can also be activated this way. Now, I'm using the floodlights in a simple timed configuration. If you want, you can configure them to turn on via motion detection, acting basically as a deterrent. Just for fun, here's a demonstration of the motion detection. Over on the left, there's an intruder. On infrared, you can barely make out anything. But now, when the floodlights kick in, hey, I know her. Stop, plant thief. Anyway, the system is connected directly to house power, so you don't have to worry about batteries or solar panels or anything like that. And the camera connection is over Wi-Fi, making it extremely simple to set up. The whole thing is configurable over the Reolink app. So here's what comes in the box, the camera floodlight unit itself, and we'll get into that in a second. Then there's this cool optional installation plate. You use this if you're installing the camera onto a wall, like in a say a random location, if you could call it that, either into a wall or you could mount it into, say, a soffit, sort of a situation like that. Now, the cool thing about this mounting plate is that built into it is a level. So as you're setting it up, you can make sure that your installation is perfectly level. There's also a little hook here that acts as a support. There's a tether wire in the back of the camera, and you can hang that off of there while you're wiring the rest of the camera up to your electrical system. It can hang on there and you don't have to worry about dropping it. So that's cool. Now, this is optional because you can either attach this to a wall, as I said, or to an existing electrical box. So either way is fine. And if you do it to an electrical box, they do provide you with the little bracket that you'll need and all sorts of different optional screws and plugs and bits and bobs like that for installation. You also they also provide this little wrench here, which is used to tighten the ball joint for the camera. And that is really nice. On other cameras, it's sort of a hand tightening thing, and it's kind of awkward at times. So this is a very clever solution. You can tighten it by hand, but you can also really crank it down with that wrench. They provide you a USB-C connection. Now, you use that only when you're setting up. So that's nice. And also included in the box are instructions and various a sticker and tips and catalog, that kind of thing. Great stuff in the box. Let's have a quick look at the camera itself. It's actually quite amazing. It's two 4K cameras configured so that when you're seeing the image, it looks like I guess it's an 8K image, 180 degree field of view horizontally with like a perfect stitch between the two images between the cameras. Now, built into the camera unit are LEDs, infrared LEDs here, here, and here, so that you can use infrared lighting at night if you want. Or, of course, it's got the floodlights. Now, these are LED floodlights that you can use to get a full color image of your nighttime scene if you wish. And the cool thing is that these are obviously can be worked together so that if the camera sees an intruder, it will start recording, and you can have the floodlights go on to illuminate the scene and act as a deterrent in that way. Or if you choose, You can leave the floodlights off and use the infrared lighting capability to get an image of that nighttime scene. You can use it in either way, and there's all sorts of configuration options there that you can use. Now, the floodlights themselves are up to 3,000 lumens each, and those are adjustable both in terms of the brightness as well as the color warmth. So that's quite cool. So on the bottom of the camera, there's three things. There's a QR code that you use for setup. There's a little hatch here, and that hatch is secured with two screws to prevent tampering. In there, there's a micro SD slot for an optional micro SD card that you can use to locally store your security footage. And there's also a USB-C port that you use the little wire for when you are setting up the camera. Only for setup. You don't have to use that when you're powering the camera itself. The camera is powered by AC connections there. So also there's the speaker is down here. So when you're speaking through the camera, if you choose to do that, or if you are using the siren or any of the other automated outputs that you can do, because you can have it actually alert a person or warn a person who's approaching your door, look out, there's a dog, or intruders, stay away, or whatever you want to say. It will come out of that speaker. But you can also use this as an intercom. There's a microphone port, right there, tiny little microphone port, but it works very well. On the back, there are the wires for your AC connection, as well as a physical tether that you can hook onto your mounting plate as you're connecting these things up, so you're not trying to juggle all this stuff all together at once. So it's best to configure the camera on your kitchen counter, much easier than doing it up on a ladder. To do that, step one is to download the Reolink app, and there's a QR code right in the instruction manual, so that's easy to do. Get that set up on your phone, and you'll be ready for the next step. Next is to remove the little hatch on the bottom. It's sort of tamper-proof because it's got two tiny little annoying screws on there. They're Phillip head screws. You take that off. I've already installed a micro SD card in there, and I think I put a 128 in. The next step is to power it up. Notice that I do not have it attached to house power. All you do is use a USB connector and pop it in there, and in a few seconds it'll boot up and start an annoying little sequence about what you need to do. Give it 1 second. Yeah, there's a blue light on. That's a good sign. So now what we're going to do is, here we go.
Welcome to Reolink. Please install Reolink app and scan the QR code on the camera.
There's the QR code that we need to scan. All you do on the app is press the plus button to add a device. Whoops.
Bienvenue à Reolink. Veuillez installer l'application Reolink et scanner le code QR sur la caméra.
So you follow the instructions in the app, trying to ignore that thing.
Bienvenido a Reolink. Por favor, instale la aplicación Reolink y escanee el código QR en la cámara. Welcome to Reolink. Please install Reolink app and scan the QR code.
So I found that when it asks to select your network connection, you need to use the configure Wi-Fi via Bluetooth. I wish that thing would not keep talking in 12 different languages. So you hit that, it says powered on, which we have done. Reset the device. Press and hold the reset button on the device until you hear a voice prompt.
Bienvenido a Reolink. Por favor, instale la aplicación Reolink y escanee el código.
Oh good, it stopped. Oh no, it started up again. Okay, so when you have heard the voice, there's little prompts on here. You say that you've heard the voice. Connecting the device, it wants to join it with Bluetooth. You hit yes. It's connecting the device. And you'll see a little picture of your camera on here to make sure that you're connecting to the right one, which is great. Takes a few seconds.
to Real.
Connection successful. So you'll need to connect it to your Wi-Fi, and I'm not going to show you the Wi-Fi password, so I'm going to just show that, do that offline here. Of course, I don't know what the password is. And once you enter in the password, it goes through the connection to your Wi-Fi. And then once you're through the whole app, you can test your camera, just leave it attached to the USB, and you can see that it's working. Now, the seam between the two lenses is a little weird when you're really close. You can see it in the middle there. But otherwise, it's good to go, and we can do the physical installation now. The physical installation of your light and camera is going to be very unique, I'm sure. In my case, I've got an existing proper electrical box behind this strange little white frame. There used to be a light up here before. So what I've done is I've attached the Reolink mounting plate to that box, and I've got all my wires strung out. I had to attach my ground wire first. It's inside there. I will point out that the magical level that's attached, which is a very clever idea, actually isn't registering correctly unless the gravitational constant where I live is not quite right. But anyway, there we go. And now all I have to do is attach my black and white wires to my black and white wires and pop 2 screws in here. And then there's a couple of caps that go over these mounting holes under here. And we'll be off to the races. Then to do your final adjustments and get this exactly how you want it, I would recommend you have somebody on the ground with the phone watching what the camera is, and then you can fiddle with this. And there's a little wrench to tighten this up when you're done. That's it, that's all.
So I've been using the Reolink Elite for almost 2 months now, and I'd have to say it lives up to its specs and to my sometimes over-the-top expectations. As I mentioned earlier, I'm using a very simple standalone configuration, and it just works. I have motion detection activated all the time, so it records anything or anybody who arrives anywhere near the main door to the house. The app allows you to customize and refine that motion detection in all sorts of clever ways. It'll differentiate between people, animals, and vehicles, for example. And you can have the floodlights turn on when something is detected as well, if you want that. And there are 3 advanced AI options to activate that trigger. A line crossing trigger, a zone trigger, or even a loitering trigger. So if there's somebody or something hanging around your property, I don't know, recording a YouTube video, it'll activate when that happens. The flexibility and smart capabilities built into the app are very cool. Now, I was surprised by one simple thing that was missing from the options, and I asked the Reolink folks to add it. In my case, I'd like the floodlights to turn on at dusk and stay on for, well, 2 or 3 hours. But you can't do that. You can have the floods stay on from dusk all the way to dawn, so it knows about dusk and dawn, and you can set specific on-off times, which is what I've done, from 9 o'clock at night to 11 o'clock at night. But you can't set a duration from dusk. That would be really nice, and in my opinion, fairly simple to implement in the app. So there you have it, the Reolink Elite combination Wi-Fi security camera and floodlight kit. Simple to install, high-resolution panorama video, and configurable floodlights for illumination or deterrence. A very effective product in my opinion. There's more information in the links below this video. Thanks for watching.